And I'll tell you something about why that is. The difference between the family, the patient, and the therapist is the difference between a real person and a fake. We are deliberate, role-structured actors. We are not real people in our function as therapists. We do it on purpose. We do it artificially. And one of the dangers of being a therapist is the temptation to adopt patients. And that is very sad, and I think a serious mistake, and will speed your coronary by 20%.
So sort of catch me up with where you've been, what's been...
Is it when Alan and Mom, they'll be arguing, it's almost like it's not really real or something. It's like it's some type of intimacy game or something. Like their way of, I don't know, being affectionate or something.
Like husband-wife arguments, huh?
Yeah, like husband-wife arguments.
Awfully young to be a husband. Don't you think you're too young to be a husband yet?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then you can't have a marriage ceremony. That's all there is to it. You'll just have to stay without a ceremony. And how do you think it's been going, and what do you think's happened? What does she mean to you? Do you have a sense of where she is in your guts? Or where they are?
Where
really?
she is to me.
As a person,
As a person.
In your fantasy, in your...
Well, I like Linda. Linda's really delightful. Really good sense of humor. Trying circumstances, she sort of can laugh and find a bit of humor in it, and I can really appreciate that.
Did you have any sense from her of what her mother was?
Not really. We really didn't talk about that too much.
You've been concentrating mostly then on her taking over as being the children's mother and father rather than the question of what she's struggling with otherwise. It must be lonely being all up there as the parent and having them down below as children.
Yeah.
Do they do a pretty good job at being your mother and father when chips are down and things are rough for you? They cuddle you and comfort you?
No.
They don't?
No.
Oh. What's wrong with you guys that you don't mother your mother when she feels badly? Of course, that's kind of funny because it would make you your own grandmother, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
Just something about our father then.
You what?
Just something about our father after he died. It's just a lot of change happened about me.
Of course. Is she any good as a father? Your mom?
No.
Do you think it would help if she could learn how to be mean?
Yes.
Maybe I can help her get that kind of courage. It's funny business how hard it is to be mean if you're a mother, because she may be afraid that if she starts being mean, she'd have so much fun at it she wouldn't be able to stop. Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that if she started being mean, she would just get meaner and meaner and meaner?
No.
No. You're just not a talking family?
Well, I communicate with my daughters. And
Not about stuff like that, huh? What about when your mother and father died? When was that? How old were you?
let's see, my mother passed away about 8 years ago. See, I had her in the house with me, too.
You spent your life watching people die, huh? And your dad, how long ago did he die?
About 9 years.
So they went one right after the other, huh?
Yes.
Can I push you some more? I feel this is a very painful stuff, and I don't want to push you past where you can go.
No.
What about your own death? You think you're going to come alive, or you think you're going to join him?
Well, I just don't think about it. I mean, you know, it's just, I know someday I'm going to go, but I don't know when or how, or it's just...
How long do you figure it'll be? Now, see, it was a year between your father's death and your mother's death, and now the year between your husband's death and your decision. My dad died when I was... How about that? You think, have you tried to goose her into coming alive?
Oh, yeah.
You think it's working?
No.
No. Well, I'm for that. You know, I think you ought to. I think you ought to be meaner to her than you are to those two screwballs over there. Because I don't think you ought to let her get away with that business. Because I worry about that kind of thing. I think people die because they decide to die.
Well, I don't feel it that way. I mean, you know.
We could con him into it if we talked right. No, I really think that's an important job for you.
Why?
You want me to tell you why? Because if you can get her to decide to live rather than die because she lost her husband, you may even get to the next step. You may decide to live instead of die because your husband died. How about that?
Oh, I don't think I'm going to die soon. I did.
Yeah, I'm already worried about him.
Why?
Because he wasn't laughing. You know, his little brother got this thing and was ready to laugh about it. He acted like he was already 40 and was going to be serious and worried about the world instead of having fun. So I think he ought to cry more than his little brother at the grave.
Alan dealt with it better than
That's what I
Dwayne.
mean. But I think he's dealt with it better by swallowing it. And I don't want to have him swallow it and end up with a coronary 15, 25 years from now. You know, I'd rather he vomited and vomited and vomited and stayed alive. And then when he got mad at them because they weren't grown up, you would have to fight for them?
Yeah.
So they were really your two other husbands before your real husband died.
Just because I protected him?
I don't know. It sounds like that you teamed with them. You know, the three of you were one team, and this man that was their father was sort of another team. Tell her how to say no more.
I just did it.
Out of your own guts, huh?
Well, I think he scared himself into it too. He used to break things, and he broke the windshield of the car. You know, and woke up the next morning. Did I really do it?
So you know the difference between wanting to live and wanting to die.
Mm-hmm.
So what's with your mother? Where is she on that balance? Does she want to live or want to die? Or is it half and half?
I think it's half and half.
You guys worry about it?
No,
Sure you're going to grow up to be a drunk like the old man?
no, I wouldn't even take a chance.
How was it? How could you stand loving somebody that beat you up? That must be a terrible thing.
Yep.
She never learned how to be a drunk?
Yeah, I guess. She sometimes drank.
She sometimes does?
Mm-hmm.
And then did she get mean when she's drunk?
No, she don't drink very much.
And I don't know why she wants to weigh like a truck. But I think you ought to raise hell with her, because apparently she can't do it by herself, just like the old man couldn't stop drinking by himself. His mom fixed him so that he had to stop. I mean, he fixed her by dying of cancer, the rat. But I don't think you ought to let her fix you by dying of obesity. But then, you know, your poor grandmother would have to take care of you. That's not fair. she's done her job. You ought to be